Hi there, it's Sid from Cool Moviegram, your source for everything about cool film. Now, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, check out my other videos, like my content and comment and everything. And those of you who are already doing that, thank you very much and welcome back to the channel. Yep, of course, we're going ahead with this new setup now. And like I said, got some lighting, a tripod, and a new mic, so audio's a lot better. And we are continuing again with the top 25 Jackie Chan movies. And today is going to be video number 3, which is movies 15 to 11. So only 2 more videos on this series left, and then hopefully I'll be able to move on to different things. So without further ado, I'll just say, let's just crack on with this. Number 15 is Crime Story, which is a 1993 film directed by Kirk Wong, which stars Jackie Chan, Ken Cheng, Ken Lo, Christine Ng. A businessman, Yvonne Yat-Fei, is kidnapped for a ransom. Officer Eddie Chan is assigned to lead a task force to save him and catch the bad guys. An experienced detective named Hung, who solved a previous kidnapping case of the same businessman, is also kind of like brought on board to kind of help and lend his expertise. But as the investigation carries on, Eddie Chan finds out that his partner has a lot more involvement than he thinks, and nothing seems to be quite right. Yeah, this is one of the films that Jackie had actually kind of signed on to do because he was trying to break away and try and work with different directors after realizing how long he had taken on directing Armor of God 2, aka Operation Condor. So he'd started working with a few different directors, and on the set of Twin Dragons, which was back in like 91, 92, he was actually talking to Kirk Wong, who was playing one of the bad guys in that movie, where he was the main villain. And as the main villain, when they were talking like between takes, talking about what other projects going on, Jackie was like, oh yeah, I'm working with Wong Jing, and I'm also going to be working with Lau Kar Leung on Drunken Master 2. And what had been going on, goes, oh yeah, I had a movie that me and Choi Hark were producing. Well, Kirk Wong was saying that him and Choi Hark were making a movie which was with Jet Li, and it was a cop thriller, but Jet Li had actually walked out. It was around about the time where Jet Li's manager at the time, who in Hong Kong, had actually been shot by the triads in his office, and so Jet Li had actually kind of walked away from the project because things weren't really going too well, and it was meant to have been a lot more of a hard-edged movie. But then Jackie thought, hey, this might seem like a decent vehicle for him to kind of go serious mode. And the last time he even made anything serious as a leading man was back in like 1985, when he did movies like The Protector, which didn't do so well, and Heart of Dragon, which was not as successful as his comedy. So since then he has never been like didn't do anything serious until Heart of Dragon, or since Heart of Dragon up until Crime Story. And yeah, I would thought that, you know, this had like a really kind of like a hard-edged kind of heroic bloodshed feel to it. This is something that normally I would have expected someone like Chow Yun-fat, or even Andy Lau, or even Tony Leung, or Lau Ching-wan to kind of like play the main character in this type of movie. It didn't seem like much of a Jackie Chan movie. I mean, there are some great stunts in there. Especially, you know, you got the great shootout at the start, which seems pretty much straight out of a Ringo Lam movie. And you know, there is a lot more kind of like violence, and it's a lot more brutal in comparison to most of Jackie Chan's movies. But he does give a very earnest performance as like a straight-laced cop who's kind of committed to kind of getting his job and saving the people who need saving. And even there is like a couple of fight scenes which are pretty good, and but there's no slapstick comedy in this. But this is a lot more kind of full on and very kind of intense in terms of the some of the action scenes. Now, Ken Cheng, his performance as Detective Hung, who's this kind of like a very deeply flawed man who kind of like, you know, He's involved with a sex worker. He's involved with like working with triads, and he's also kind of doesn't really carry himself in the way that most cops should. He has an aura of respect. Yeah, he has like because of his reputation, but you can tell he's kind of like a worn down detective who doesn't really care about medals and getting trophies and being recognized, because that doesn't really pay his bills. And there's some really cool set pieces. Again, one of those great. This is one of the films, I think, the film which actually filmed the destruction of the walled city in Kowloon, where the finale of the film takes place, and you can kind of see Jackie Chan kind of running through a lot of the flames, and some great car chases in this, and a lot of explosions, especially towards the end. And I would definitely recommend this movie. I mean, I know some people don't like it, but I thought it was actually a decent movie. It was a breakaway, showing that Jackie Chan did actually have the ability to play serious roles, even at that age, at that period of time when he was pretty much flying high on cloud nine, in a way. Number 14 is Heart of Dragon, or Heart of the Dragon, aka The First Mission. A 1985 movie which is directed by Sammo Hung. It stars Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, Meng Hoi, Chan Lung, Emily Chu, and a host of others. Now, Tap Fung is a dedicated policeman who takes care of his mentally challenged older brother Dodo, who is played by Sammo Hung, who tends to have like a very childlike mind. And he gives up on his dreams of being a sailor, and even his relationship with Jenny, played by Emily Chu, is hanging off a thread. Now, after involuntarily getting involved in the gang's robbery of some jewelry, Dodo is held captive, and Tap Fung must risk his life and career to save his brother. Right, well, yeah, this was probably one of like the very few kind of like films, like this is at the period when Jackie Chan's probably his most busiest year since 1978, where he had like quite a few films come out at that time. He had films like Heart of the Dragon. He also had My Lucky Stars, the sequel Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars. He had The Protector, and this one as well, and Police Story, and also, and like he had all these films kind of pretty much ready for release at that time. And this film, it's again, it kind of trades. Instead of action comedy, it's more of a drama, because it kind of explores this this relationship between these two brothers. One's a very very kind of like a hard-nosed, very respectable cop, and he's actually kind of very career focused. And also he got his brother Dodo, who's kind of very carefree. He lives like a child, hangs out with children, and he's very kind of simple-minded in that sense. He doesn't really have a worry in the world. Sammo Hung steals the show, but it is Jackie Chan who actually kind of like does also shine in playing a very kind of like serious scene. See him kind of like break down in like a very dramatic kind of outburst, especially the scene where he kind of like just loses it with Sammo Hung after Sammo Hung kind of like starts showing that, you're going to abandon me, and they have this kind of a really big kind of like fallout. And that was actually done effectively. It's very melodramatic, but for the kind of film that it is, the tone was really good, and it was actually done quite effectively. And the fight scenes, well, although in the Hong Kong cut there's not as much action in this film, but in the extended version, which came out in Japan, there's a couple of extra fight sequences. Jackie Chan's at a methadone clinic where he's kind of ambushed by some criminals when he's actually escorting a witness there. And also there's one in the car park, which was kind of a bit more comedic, and it had like a very kind of like, you had quite a few veterans of martial arts cinema playing like these kind of just bullies and loudmouths, and all of a sudden people like Li Hoi Sang and a host of others. And but then they are pretty well kind of choreographed, and even the end fight in the construction sites now, wow. I mean, it's just like, it's a total kind of breakaway from the usual, slapstick comedy kind of style of Jackie Chan. This was like a lot more serious. This is a lot more hard hitting in terms of like, there's even in the extended version, there is even a kill where Jackie Chan just kind of impales somebody with a pickaxe straight into the chest. I'm like, wow, that's not something that you would normally see. I mean, the fight choreography was actually done by Yuen Bu in this film, and he did an absolutely amazing job, just kind of like choreographing some of this, and it's a lot more hard hitting and definitely, I mean, I really, some people, they kind of rank this as, some people that I know, they actually rank this movie as their all-time favorite Jackie Chan movie. But I mean, I would say it's up there, but not quite on the level of, of top tier Jackie. But definitely, I actually did enjoy this movie, even when I watched the dubbed version, which was The First Mission. I actually liked this movie, and even though the two extra fight scenes were missing, because there's only like maybe a couple of action sequences here and there that were spaced out, but yeah, I did enjoy this film back then as well, without watching it. But now that 88 Films have actually been able to release the actual full length version in like a 2K restoration on Blu-ray, but then there's also a 4K coming out as well. So it's great to be able to see that full version with both fight scenes intact.
Tell me about the armor of God.
Long before the birth of Christ, dark forces roamed the earth. These cults believe that if they destroy the armor, terror shall rule the world.
These cults still exist.
Number 13 is Armor of God, which is a 1986 film directed by Jackie Chan and partly by Eric Chang. Now, it stars Jackie Chan, Alan Tan, Rosamund Kwan, and Lola Fauna. Now, Asian Hawk, who's a rich man's Robin Hood, is contacted by his former bandmate slash best childhood buddy, Alan, to help him save his old flame, Laura, played by Rosamund Kwan, who has actually been kidnapped by an evil drug peddling cult. He must seek out biblical artifacts known as the Armor of God in order to save her. Count's daughter, May, joins the duo as he is expected to get all of the pieces of the armor for them. Yeah, this was pretty much like a very international type of movie, but Jackie Chan had actually kind of like tried to kind of expand his base a lot more, because bearing in mind this is when The Protector had flopped, and even his previous attempts at breaking the Hollywood market with Big Bull wasn't really a resounding success. Jackie had also kind of like started making Hong Kong movies, but also basing them more in international locations. Like, for example, you've got the two Arm of God movies. You've also got your Wheels on Wheels, which was filmed in Spain. This one here was kind of filmed in places like Yugoslavia, in Germany, wherever, like all around quite a few different European countries, and it has an international feel to it. And yeah, there's some really cool, really good comedy in it, and Jackie Chan kind of just handles it with ease. And of course, this is the infamous film where Jackie almost lost his life, where the closest he's come to actually losing his life, where he kind of like just jumped from a castle wall to a tree, but the branch broke and then kind of fell down and smacked his head, and that's where he got the hole, and he's bleeding. And you can see that in the outtakes, of course. And yeah, this, at the time it came out, this was like a huge hit. It was actually the third biggest film in the 80s, so of the 80s in Hong Kong. So this was actually one of his biggest hits of all time. But again, the fight scenes are absolutely incredible. I mean, they're not that many, but the fight, especially towards the end, when you see like Jackie Chan taking on all the monks and against the women. But, you got a really cool car chase in it as well, where like it's just kind of like being chased by bikers and whatnot as well. And some really cool stunt work. Even like, for example, you see him kind of the way that they kind of chop together, and for him to be able to actually land on a hot air balloon, that was actually pretty cool. Him running through with explosions again, it's a kind of like a modern day Indiana Jones type of movie, and it is pretty much a very fun movie, and it's light-hearted, it's exciting, and it just keeps you drawn to the film. And I would definitely say, it's one of those I have actually also watched many times since childhood. Number 12 is Police Story 2, a 1988 film directed by Jackie Chan. It stars Jackie Chan with Maggie Cheung, Bill Tung, and Mars. After causing chaos and putting crime boss Chu Tu in prison, Chan Kar-kui is demoted to traffic duty. However, Chu Tu is released early and wants to get even. Chan is given another chance when a group of terrorists are targeting businessmen in Hong Kong with explosives. This also causes problems with his girlfriend May and their relationship. This was again probably one of the very few top tier sequels that I have actually ever seen being made for movies, not just in Hong Kong but also overall. It just had that kind of that really kind of slickness to it, and for me, the preferred cut is not the international but the Hong Kong cut, which was longer than the export dub. But I've always watched the export dub because I remember we had the Imperial Entertainment VHS, which also came with the trailers of Above the Law, aka Righting Wrongs, and I think it was Blood Fight. Yeah, there were the two trailers that were there before the film. It's got a really cool music score, this one has, and again, it's just the bad guys are actually quite interesting because it's not just the usual typical kind of triad kind of gangsters or drug dealers. These guys are just, they use explosives and they blow for example, they just want money. That's all it is. They're not the kind of typical bad guys who are just out, they're not the archetype of bad guys. These guys are, they just want to have money. That's it, and they want to get it at any means. But it's really cool that you got these two. You got the bad guys from the original. You got that guy with the glasses who's always getting them broke, and which is actually quite a good running gag in the whole movie. And you got some really just great action and fights from the get-go. Especially really great stunts as well. You got Jackie running through traffic. You got the playground fight scene, the restaurant fight scene. You have him jumping buses. Everything is it's all pieced together really well. And even, for example, in terms of the emotional elements of it, which where you kind of see the strain of Kevin, aka Chen Kar-kui, and May, their kind of relationship is kind of it's on the rocks, and it's they are kind of going through a rough patch. But this is one of the films where the ending was kind of it was abruptly ended because Maggie Cheung had also injured herself, as well as Jackie did. If you see the outtakes, Jackie got injured a lot of times in this film, but then even Maggie Cheung had actually kind of split her head open. So they didn't actually film the last scene because she was not feeling too good and she had hurt herself, so she was in no shape to film. But then that's why it kind of had this quite a quick, just really abrupt ending. And but it still works really well. It still does, and they even actually hired a lot of Jackie Chan worked with some Hollywood technicians in order to be able to capture the explosions, because he was trying to go, as a director, he wanted a bigger scale than the original Police Story, which to have more explosions and have a kind of a more Hollywood type of feel to the film. And it pays off. My favorite scene is always going to be the playground fight scene that was just at night, that was just done so well. The choreography, the timing, the beats, the use of the music, especially in the Hong Kong cut, not the Japanese extended version now. the version in the Hong Kong cut, it just looks so, it's just pieced together so well. But definitely one of my all-time favorites, and this is a top tier action movie.
The snake bites.
Number 11 is Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, which is a 1978 film directed by Yuen Woo-ping, starring Jackie Chan, Yun Seo-tien, Hwang Jung-lee, and Dean Shek. After Shang Quan, an Eagle Claw, a master of the Eagle Claw, eradicates and kills many Snake Fist members who are actually beefing with one another. The sole master, who's surviving master, Pai Chang-ten, who's actually disguised as a beggar, and he's on the run. He befriends a young boy named Chen Fu, who's a kind of like he's like a servant slash odd job boy working at a kung fu school, but he's also getting bullied by some of the instructors who use him as a human punching bag. And because of this, Pai feels pity on this boy and decides to teach him the Snake Fist. Eventually, his enemies get wind of Pai Chang-ten, but then of course this is when Chen Fu has to actually use his skills to be able to fight against the bad guys. This was one of my top in my top 50 kung fu movies. It means this is an absolute classic. This film was pretty much, again, very iconic, very it kind of sold that underdog story really well, where you see Jackie Chan as this young kid who's getting bullied, but then finds this mentor who kind of decides to help him develop a style, build his confidence, but then also he gets to save the day. This was his breakthrough. I've talked about this quite a lot before on my channel. Before this film, Jackie Chan was was pretty much dubbed as the box office poison when he was working with Lo Wei, aka Goodyear Films, and every film that Jackie Chan had made up to that point had been a flop. And even at the point, Ng Si-yun had been told by many industry insiders at that time not to hire Jackie Chan, to saying, "Oh, that kid Jackie, trust me, he's no good, he's box office poison, he's bad luck, your film is going to fail." But he just went with his gut instinct, because originally the film was written as a project for Fu Xing, who of course was contracted to Shaw Brothers at that time, and Shaw Brothers at that time with their particular stars was very exclusive, and they didn't allow them to be signed to Shaw Brothers and also work with other studios. So they were just kind of contracted to just that studio. But then when Jackie came on board, because all of his films had flopped, and Lo Wei had decided to loan out Jackie Chan to seasonal films for 2 projects, and the rest is history. This became such a huge hit. It became the first kung fu movie at that time to be able to break box office record, become a surprise hit, and it kind of put him pretty much in the limelight, where he was about to get recognized. And it was a gamble well paid, where all of a sudden Jackie Chan was not this struggling wannabe superstar. He had his own identity because he played the underdog character really well. There was a comedic kind of presence about the film. It was not a totally serious film. And of course you've got the amazing Hwang Jung-lee playing a top tier bad guy, Shang Quan, who plays the Eagle Claw, uses the Eagle Claw really well, and he's he doesn't really use as much of his kicking ability in this movie, but you do get to see a few flashes of his amazing kicks. But again, this film, it kind of changed the game in a way, and it kind of started off the whole kung fu comedy, underdog learning kung fu kind of movie, which became a norm, and so many films were pretty much ripping off this. I mean, he had Bruceploitation, which came out in like after 73 when Bruce Lee passed away, but then there was also Chansploitation, as they call it, which has had so many films being made by people who are just pretty much aping the Jackie Chan formula, which was like pretty much the kung fu comedy, underdog kung fu, and you know, I mean, many ways. I mean, yeah, he tries to say that the Karate Kid inspired him, but I don't know how Jackie's thinking of it, because Jackie was a star before the first Karate Kid came out. He was a big star since 1978, and this film itself has a very kind of Karate Kid kind of feel to it, where, you know, you got this kid who's getting bullied, just, you know, learns martial arts from an old man, and then saves the day, and it's definitely, I mean, again, it's a classic. It's an absolute kind of stone cold kung fu cinema classic that you just can't get enough of. And I've watched it many times, and, you know, I've had it on like 3 different formats now. I've had it on VHS. I've had it on DVD when it came out by Hong Kong Legends, and then also now I've had it on Blu-ray. It's one of those films I've watched countless times since a young age, and although the Blu-ray and even the DVD in the UK was censored for animal cruelty, because it actually had a fight between an actual cat and a snake, which was a real fight, but the snake was defanged, as you can see, and it was being pulled on the string. But you know, that doesn't really bother me, because you still got the great choreography, the story's there. You know, you get the point as to what happened in that scene, even though it's cut to bits. But definitely a classic, and, you know, it's a must-watch for anyone into martial arts movies, Hong Kong cinema, or just Jackie Chan fans himself. But definitely, this was a turning point in his career. Well, yeah, that was my films 15 to 11 for my top 25 Jackie Chan movies. Now, we've only got 2 more videos left, and I will be getting them done soon. And of course, everything's going to be looking like this now. It's in a new setup with a better backdrop, which is my movies, and also the lighting and everything, and the sound. Everything's going to be a lot better now, and I hope to see you on the next one.